Toxic workplace culture has become a more recognised label that is the antithesis of well-being culture. Often it stems from the leader of the pack. I'm Annie Hood. Hello and welcome to Well Intel Daily. This is the podcast that showcases why well-being culture matters for you and your business. I've been inspired to record this episode for a couple of reasons. One is the headline story at the BBC that concerns a well-known news anchor, and the other is an excellent article by Alex Schellenberger, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at Accor, and he's talking about toxic work environments, toxic bosses, and mental health. I'll tag the article in the episode notes. He cites this wholly accurate description that I'm going to read out that identifies the sorts of traits you would find in a toxic boss. He says this: it usually doesn't take very long to identify a toxic boss. What you're going to see is narcissistic tendencies, a default to micromanagement, very little empathy, relentless self-promotion, constant manipulation in all directions, and emotional roller coasters for the people working with that person. Now, you may recognise those characteristics in yourself. And if you do, and you're able to see that truth, that is a huge step all on its own. You can seek some coaching, and there's all sorts of ways that you can evolve yourself to leave those sorts of traits behind, but you'll need support to do that. And if those characteristics are allowed an unfettered reign, it's likely that a toxic work environment would ensue. That BBC story that I mentioned earlier involves a senior individual who has done nothing illegal. It's someone who's been very transparent for several years about his mental health struggles, and it became known that he was in hospital as a result of the newspaper allegations and the BBC coverage. Now, often in work, as in life, there's a fork in the road. One direction is compassion, kindness, space, humanity. The other is more ruthless. It's heartlessness. It's zero empathy, the removal of human decency. And the latter is an indicator of toxicity, an environment culture that embodies those toxic traits that were outlined a moment ago. And if you do recognise those traits in yourself or in someone else, what do you do about them? Do you feel empowered and able to speak up? If you're seeing the impact of your own or another person's behaviour, are you able to address it? Or are you going to take Alex's "if all else fails" suggestion? You're not a tree, you can move. But if you're a C-suite director, a non-exec or a board member, you have a duty of care to employees and peers. And if this is you, if you are that toxic boss, you can change, and you'll be so glad you did. Tomorrow, a little insight on the burden of debt and the effects on performance. Contact me directly for a conversation and tailored advisory. Please follow, share and review, and of course, be well.